like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where it's time for issue 15 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol, which sees us add the Psychophage to our collection. Now, if you're going to pick one of these up from Games Workshop, they're the best part of £40, but like I pointed out in a previous video, these are available in a box set, I believe, so you can actually go on eBay and pick them up for around about £10. Either way, though, the model is huge, it is massively impressive, and it is a real focal point for out of all the models that we've had so far. We also get some new data cards and a few terrain cards and a few other little bits as well added in with this issue. And it says this issue will cover our new Tyranid monster, new fiction material, and cover and terrain. Over the page, then, it tells us how to build our Psychophage. I will say, for a younger gamer, this would be quite difficult to put together. It's not many parts, but because it's big and really chunky, you're going to have to really push it together to get it stuck perfectly. So I would say if you're a younger person, probably seek some help from somebody to put this one together. We then go on to painting it with our base coats of Wraithbone before we go on to our Barak Nar Burgundy and our Abaddon Black. Carrying over the next page, it shows us that we need a little bit of Macragga Blue before we have some Screamer Pink and some Corax White and a little bit more Wraithbone before it shows us our work in progress model. We then have some reading material, Soul Feeder. This is Read Section D, Fiction Part 4. Terminators grapple with a Psychophage at close range. Should they fail, their very souls are at risk. Over the page then, that reading material continues before we go on to our sheet naming page for our Psychophage. Like I said, these are in here for every single unit. This is Collect Part B, Tyranids Part 7. Over the page then, we have our data sheet for our Psychophage, where we can see it has a massive 10 wounds. Not an easy model to take down. We then have cover and terrain. This is Section B, Basics Part 12, which explains the benefits of cover and how we can ignore cover as well. Turning over them, we go into more depth with the benefit of cover, how you gain the benefit of cover, how you don't have the benefit of cover, and then it gives us examples in the pictures as well. Then we have a little bit of terrain and movement, and it explains how you can move through L-shaped ruins and also how you can fly over terrain. Before we have Scenario 11, Battle Lines. A vital defensive position has been identified. At this choke point, the Space Marines could fend off a Tyranid swarm with only a handful of soldiers, while the Tyranids could strangle Imperial supply lines with a mere scattering of Sentinel bioforms. Funny thing about this one was that I noticed the Psychophage isn't actually in the battle, which is really strange to get a massive new model like that, because you're actually going to be using the Librarian, 5 Infernus Marines and 5 Terminators, and they're facing off against the Tyranid Prime, Von Ryan's Leapers and 10 Termagants. Like always, we've got our step-by-step walkthrough explaining what the Tyranids do on their turn, and it gives us an example of moving and shooting on the next page before we turn over, and it breaks down the Space Marines turns. As always, command phase, movement, shooting, charging, and then the fight phase. And again, it gives you examples of moving and shooting and charging and fighting as well, before we go on to our final page explaining the storyline material for if it's a Space Marine victory or a Tyranids victory. Turning over onto the back page, it actually tells us what our next 3 issues are. We get 2 more paints in the next issue, Mephiston Red and Squig Orange, and then in 17 and 18 it is 2 more sets of Termagants, basically making the full squad of those again. Obviously the next 3 issues are not particularly exciting. When you get repeats of models that you've already had, it's a little bit irritating, I think, especially when you're not that many magazines into the collection, I should say. Sorry, but of course issues 19 and issue 20 are much more exciting models. That is it for this week. Let me know your thoughts on issue number 15 and the Psychophage model. I think I'm saying that right, Psychophage. It could be Psychophage, but anyway, let me know your thoughts on that model, because without a doubt it's the most spectacular model that we have had in the collection thus far. And like always, I'll be back same time next week with another issue of Combat Patrol. Goodbye for now.